currently assigned to Sullivan Central High School. He obtained tenure with Sullivan County Schools in September 2008. During the 2020-2021 school year, Hawn, as a part of his duties, taught contemporary issues. As a teacher licensed by the state of Tennessee, Hawn, at all times, has remained bound by the Tennessee Teacher Code of Ethics, Tennessee Code Annotated 49-5-1001 et sec. This includes, but is not limited to, fulfilling the following obligations to students. Not unreasonably restrain the student from independent action in pursuit of learning. Not unreasonably deny the students access to varying points of view. Not intentionally expose student to embarrassment or disparagement, not on the basis of political or religious beliefs, unfairly deny benefits to the student or grant any advantage to the student, and maintain a professional approach with students at all times. See Tennessee Code Annotated 49-5-1003.3. Under the Tennessee Tenure Act, at Tennessee Code Annotated 49-5-501-3D, conduct unbecoming to a member of the teaching profession or unprofessional conduct can mean disregard for the teacher code of ethics in such a manner as to make one obnoxious as a member of to the profession. Under Tennessee Code Annotated 49-5-501 section, insubordination can mean refusal or continued failure to obey the school laws of this state or to carry out specific assignment made by the board, the director, or the principal. As the facts below will illustrate, Hawn should be dismissed as a tenured teacher with Sullivan County Schools based on his insubordination and repeated unprofessional conduct. Only a few months ago, in February 2021, Hawn received a detailed letter of reprimand. A copy is attached hereto as Exhibit A. Therein, Hawn's unprofessional conduct consisted of questionable judgment in assigning an article for students to read containing inappropriate terms and unreasonably denying contemporary issue students access to varying points of view in violation of the Tennessee Teacher Code of Ethics. Wherein the February letter of reprimand, Hawn was specifically reminded that your job is not to teach one perspective. Your job is also not to ensure students simply adopt your own personal perspective. Your job in teaching contemporary issues is to ensure students learn to seek out and consider varying and credible perspectives. After Hawn appealed the issuance of this letter of reprimand to the Sullivan County Board of Education, the board, in a public meeting held in early March, voted 6-0 to uphold the letter of reprimand. After Hawn was reprimanded, was reminded of his responsibilities and duties by both the board and the director of schools, however, students recently reported that Hawn showed a video containing inappropriate terms to his class later in March. The video at issue, White Privilege, by Kyla Janae Lacey, can be found on YouTube. Within the 3.38-minute video, Ms. Janae Lacey recites a poem, a spoken word poem, regarding her thoughts on white privilege and aspects of the same. Though appropriate discussion around concepts like white privilege remain perfectly appropriate for a high school class like contemporary issues, Ms. Janae Lacey utilized several inappropriate terms for a high school demonstrative assignment, including several instances and variations of the F word and racial epithets. Hawn clearly knew that the video's content was inappropriate, especially in light of the prior letter of reprimand, as more than one student confirmed that Hawn remarked to the class that playing the video could affect his job status. One student quoted him as saying, "I'm about to get fired, but I really don't care." Both the sampling of Hawn's contemporary issue students and Mr. Hawn himself were interviewed regarding this incident. Though the school system's processes evidence showing the video was played though the school system possesses evidence showing the video was played with the appropriate language, and those students confirmed they heard it, Hawn claimed that he timed it out and hit mute as such terms were being said aloud during the video. Hawn and the sampling of students also confirmed that no other videos were played or materials assigned that would have offered a contemporary issue students a different perspective than the one offered by Ms. Janae Lacey. Hawn, when interviewed, acknowledged that he had not offered varying assignments or perspectives due to believing that the views expressed by Ms. Janae Lacey and others on white privilege are simply fact rather than opinion. More than one student also reported hearing Hawn make a comment at the end of the class that day, belittling certain views which admittedly differed from Hawn's. In talking to another group of students, Hawn was overheard to say, "They don't know anything. Oh, it's fine." As noted within the prior letter of reprimand, Hawn remained more than welcome and offered to offer and discuss appropriate materials with contemporary issue students, which provided a more liberal perspective, assuming he would know that would also require offering and discussing appropriate materials which provided a more conservative perspective on the same subject matter. This crucial and ethical standard was lost on Hawn in early 2021 and appears to be that it's still lost on him now. Therefore, based on the foregoing and citing the grounds of insubordination and repeated unprofessional conduct, the Director of Schools is requesting to move forward with these charges of dismissal against Matthew Hawn submitted on this 10th day of May, 2021, and it's signed by me. Based upon these charges as Director of Schools, I recommend the dismissal of Mr. Hawn. I would also ask that a copy of these charges be attached as an exhibit to the minutes of this meeting. There has been a lot of talk online that accuses me of moving to dismiss Mr. Hawn because he taught anti-racism lessons. Let me be perfectly clear. Sullivan County Schools and I in no way condone racism of any kind. We have encouraged all of our teachers, including Mr. Hawn, to promote an environment welcoming to all students of all races and of all backgrounds. There's also been talk accusing me of moving to dismiss Mr. Hawn because he discussed the topic of white privilege during his contemporary issues class. This is also simply not true. In the charges I just read aloud, in fact, I wrote that appropriate discussions around concepts like white privilege remain perfectly appropriate for a high school class like contemporary issues. These charges of dismissal about Mr. Hawn refusing to provide his students with access to varying points of view, which is required under Tennessee law. And these charges are about Mr. Hawn, again, assigning inappropriate materials to his students. Finally, there's also been talk online that these charges are somehow related to the legislature's passing of a bill dealing with critical race theory in schools. If anyone reads these charges, the actual charges though, it should be clear that they have no relationship to that bill or its related language. With that, under Tennessee Tenure Act, I would ask that this board allow me to proceed with the dismissal process against Mr. Hawn.